Hey guys, my name's Lauren House. I am the hostess of Beyond the House, and we are here on the social Nostra network. And today we're going to talk about some real estate stuff. As a renter, you have so many fees and deposits that as a real estate agent, I just get these same questions over and over. So I thought I would make a video to explain what these fees are, what they contribute towards, and if they're refundable or non-refundable. So let's get started. So number one, you have your application fee. An application fee is typically $30 to $50. I have seen it cost more, but it's typically $30 to $50. This is for a credit and background check. This is going to give the landlord a lot of information about your rental history and your credit history. And this is for everybody of 18 years or older who will be occupying the house. So you can't get around this one. And this is the very first step. The application is the very first step to applying for a home that you would like to rent. The next fee, if you will, is the earnest money. Earnest money is, I can't really give you an amount because it's set by the landlord and the real estate agent, if there is one. But the earnest money is typically given to the landlord as soon as you go under contract. So if you go under contract on a Monday, it's typically due by the end of day Tuesday. And this is going to show that you have some skin in the game. This is saying, hey, Mr. Landlord, I want to rent your house. This is my down payment, if you will, to hold the house. It's technically non-refundable. I'm sure there are situations, excuse me, where it is refundable, but for the most part, it's non-refundable. Okay, let's keep going. The great thing about earnest money is it's not an extra fee or deposit. It goes towards your move-in cost. So if your total move-in cost is $5,000 and you owe that on the day you move in, if you paid $1,000 of earnest money, then you owe $4,000. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Nobody can answer this live. But I hope that that makes sense because everybody always is confused as to where the earnest money goes. It's your placeholder. It holds your spot saying, Mr. Landlord, I'm ready to move forward until that day that I move in. And then you subtract the earnest money amount. So in this case, this example, it's $1,000 off of the total move-in. So now it's $4,000. So that is earnest money. Security deposit. In Arizona, and I'm speaking only to Arizona, it is typically 1 month's rent. However, it can go up to 1.5 months rent. So if the rent is $2,000, typically security deposit would be $2,000. However, there is an opportunity for the landlord to make it $3,000, which is 1.5 months rent. And typically what I find is that the landlords who want a really high security deposit are the landlords who have been previously burned and they've had people dip out of the lease early, leave houses damaged, whatever the reason is. I mean, there's 1,000 stories to give, but that's a little bit of a personal preference. I know tenants, I've definitely had tenants fight back and they don't like it. But it's the landlord's call and there's really not much you can do about it. So all I can say is that this has the opportunity, this typically, can I talk today, is refundable. I don't know many cases where it has been non-refundable. However, I'm sure you can make it non-refundable. But most likely it's going to be refundable. And if you leave the house in any sort of disarray, then they will be reducing the security deposit and taking what you owe for damages, replacing repairs out of the security deposit. The security deposit legally should be returned to the tenant within 14 days. Again, this is in Arizona. I don't know what that law is around the country for different states, but in Arizona, it must be returned. The security deposit must be returned to the tenant within 14 days of evacuation. Pet deposit. We should also talk about pet rent. Somehow that's becoming a thing, which I'm not even going to insert my opinion here, but yeah. So pet deposit is usually around $250 per pet, and that is paid up front on or before the day you move in. So if you have 2 animals, that's $500. And I will say that if you have a prescription for your animal, it is a emotional support pet, a seeing eye dog, a prescription from your doctor, then it is not considered a pet. It is considered an assistive animal. So that is a loophole. You don't have to pay any pet deposits. And technically, I should say legally, the owner cannot say no. So even if your emotional support animal is a cat and the landlord doesn't like cats, doesn't want cats, is allergic to cats, they legally cannot turn you away and say, no, you cannot occupy my house because you have a cat. It's an emotional support animal. You have a prescription for it from your doctor. So pets are a little bit tricky in the sense that what's a pet and what's an assistive animal? Can you simply get a prescription for your animal so that you can get around the deposit? I know people who have done that. That's up to you. And as far as pet rent goes, I've seen that about $20 a month, maybe $25 a month. That's typical, at least from what I've seen, is of an apartment complex and or a landlord who uses a property manager, and they tend to go that route. But if it's just a single owner, like if I were to just rent out my little condo here, I would not charge pet rent. So it's more normal for a company to do it than an individual. Cleaning fee, that again can be refundable or non-refundable. Just make sure that when you move out, you know if you have a refundable or non-refundable cleaning deposit, because you don't want to pay for professional cleaning and then not have a non-refundable cleaning deposit. So I guess I should say real quick, a fee is something that you pay and you do not get your money back. A deposit is something that you have the option to get your money back. So I hope that clears that up. A cleaning fee is typically, you know, on a 3-bedroom house, maybe $300, maybe $350, maybe $250, but I would say around $300. That typically covers carpet cleaning, professional house cleaning, and then any extras, light bulbs, just stuff that the tenants maybe they didn't take care of. And then last month's rent, that's always like a big question, because obviously if your rent is $3,500 a month, then not only are you paying security deposit of $3,500, first month's rent of $3,500, but then you have last month's rent of $3,500 plus the cleaning fee and any sort of pet fee if you have one. So it does add up, and I get it. Moving into a rental is very expensive. Thankfully, it's becoming somewhat archaic to charge a last month's rent fee. However, it's totally up to the landlord. And again, if the landlord has been burned in the past, then they will more than likely have a last month's rent upfront fee as well. And that's also just in case the tenant decides to leave early or just not pay. So unfortunately, that one is up to the landlord. So these are the fees and deposits for renters. And please contact me. My Instagram is below if you have any questions. Again, I am Lauren House on the Social Nostra Network. Thank you.